Uranus. A whole new point of view is here.
I don't just talk stuff and repeat stuff. I'm living this stuff.
And you can thank me for covering your astro.
Leading out loud. Leading out loud. Leading out loud.
Hi, friends. Welcome to Leading Out Loud, the spiritual shift show that's rooted and rowdy. I'm Step Astrologer and Channel Sensei Chris Wotecki.
And I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor with scottcruzpm.com.
And I'm David Palmer, the Leo King.
How about that?
Been a dense
Here we are.
week, huh?
We were gone last week, everyone. That might be evidence to, how things are. We had a really powerful super new moon just over the weekend, really, Saturday evening. And then we have the sun kissing Uranus here in a couple of days, a once a year kind of event, but this year in Gemini at step one. Dave, you want to dive in with that analysis?
Yeah, this is, unless you were around in the 1940s was the last time this happened. This is definitely I would say, the new world that we've all talked about, like radically here, and it's going to integrate this week. This is monumental. This is changing everything into mutable air energy, Gemini, quick, fast, having to take opportunities and not think that you know everything. You have to question it. You have to be curious, and it's okay to not know. And what you think it will be, it won't be. So that's what Uranus is, right? Whenever you think it's going to be a flat tire, nope, actually the axle blew. It's like, what? So I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I feel like the world is like a Rubik's Cube, and like spirit's trying to like find the right place to lock it in. And we're all collectively trying to figure out, to decipher what that is, how to do that. And so things right now are especially this week, are very amplified. And so I was saying probably last month, we had the Hall of Mirrors, kind of like seeing every reflection of ourselves being presented to ourselves, trying to fix that. And so now we're in the phase of movement. And so there's gonna be some chaos with that movement too. And people just like running to a race, and people are gonna be colliding. There's gonna be sicknesses, be accidents. So it's very thick this week because of that. But that's the beginning of movement. But there's a lot of people out there moving who probably don't have the greatest navigation in the process. They're colliding.
None of us do. I think the universe or the government peeled the stickers off the Rubik's Cube a long time ago. And so we're operating a Rubik's Cube that doesn't really come together. But at the end of the day, I think we realize that we know nothing. I myself have like experienced awareness gap maybe in the last 4 days. We're just like, whoa, I did not know that. And that is what Uranus does. It basically reveals what you was right there the whole time and you missed. And Dave is absolutely right. Don't even think you have it right. There's no possibility you have it right. Your mind cannot comprehend what you're about to have experience. Just sit back and enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Well, we need to understand, make sure that chaos is going to help us to get it right. We start colliding, and because a lot of people are acting off impulse right now a lot. We talk.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting because Uranus definitely takes us to a new place that we're not even understanding at all. And you have to be shocked, right? And our minds are about to be blown for the next 7 years. Everywhere in your life, your mind's going to be blown. I used a lot of examples recently on my horoscopes. Like, this is where the Germans said the Bismarck was the unsinkable ship. 8 days later, after it launched, it was a torpedo from a little boat, the HMS Hood, that took out the rudder, and then it just sat there, and then they took everything they had, but they sunk it, right? Everything that you think is, anybody going out and being like, this is the best thing that ever it is, the worst. Whatever you're like, this is what's going to happen, and that's going to be the thing. And no, right? So like even America was like, oh, you know what? We're going to give the Lend-Lease Act to the UK and help them out the last time this happened. And we're not going to go into World War II. We're going to be neutral. Oh, we went to World War II that year.
Right.
What year was it?
So whatever you're thinking right now, oh, everything's going to be kosher and fine in this area. Well,
that's same.
But the positives is kind of like, if you're just in that place of like, you know what, I'm interested and I don't know what the outcome is, I'm willing to be mind blown. That's everything right now.
But that's why we have to understand this impulsive energy, this dense energy. Like we're supposed to find the order through the chaos. That's the whole mastery, I think, during this time. The chaos, finding the truth, finding the direction, finding what resonates, finding what doesn't, right? Allowing the fragmentation to guide. So many people want to fight against the chaos. I think that's during this time not the right thing to do, and that's what's going to keep us to be grounded. Actually, we talk about rooted and grounded. Understand that the finding order in the chaos will actually ground you, and then understanding how to intuitively navigate through the defragmentation, which also creates more discernment and gives you more an objective perspective. So we should be embracing the density right now. I always say it's a time of pause too, and if you pause, you can reflect. You won't be acting off impulse right now. So we should be very energetically cumbersome when we do, right, Christopher?
No, I mean, I think impulse, first of all, impulse is probably a test at this point. When the sun crosses the next 4 days, I would hold off. I would wait 1 second before you respond to anything, because in some regards, impulse is almost set up to get you back on the last karmic line. Like, let's say if you fall for this one last time. That's what it is for me, or it's a way you never had thought. But yeah, very impulsive. But I think you're right too, Scott. I think with Uranus in Gemini, it's all about your mind's not everything. Your mind is not. Your mind gathers information inside of you. It's not the source of it. And so we've been so programmed to the source. It makes me think of World War II, and all the propaganda came out for the first time. We used film and propaganda in Germany, which the United States then copied, called television. It's like just a lot of mind fucking going on at that time, including even the Britons. The Brits were putting up these small little like fake naval towns or whatever, and the Germans were flying over and buying it, taking pictures, thinking it was a real thing, and it was balloons. Like, there's a lot of fakery going on. So it's teaching us to go deeper. I feel that's what Uranus wants to do. There's more than just what you see and think. There's what you sense, what you feel, what your heart is detecting. I think part of it is that pushing us in that direction.
Well, that's part of letting.
I'll go on.
Well, I just say that's just part of letting go, because I think we've been so fixated on holding on to, again, here's like the term, the crutches, right? We are letting go of a lot of these things. That's gonna be chaotic, and we're gonna have to explore. So like Dave you were saying earlier about, you're not gonna get it right. That's part of that process of understanding, well, that's how you explore. That's how you figure out what you do want, by trying things out a little bit. Right. And so, and we've been holding on to so many ideologies. I've seen collectively, like the religious ideologies are breaking down, right? The political ideologies are breaking down. So we're going to have to figure out from a new point, a new perspective, like, what does that mean moving forward for, collectively, when all this shifts and changes and collapses? What does that look like on the other side of that? And a lot of people can't grasp that. A lot of people can't even fathom that even happening. And so there's going to be some chaos in that process, and so we're here. But I think this is, like you said, Christopher, is a time for us to really find the true definition of what it means for all of us, individually and collectively.
I'm glad you brought that up, because Gemini is opposite of Sagittarius, and Jupiter's the ruler of Sag. And so Mercury's in Gemini as this conjunction will happen, which is very powerful. It makes it even more powerful. And now any belief system, we have to reprogram all of our beliefs. We have to actually just get rid of them and actually look at everything with a fresh new set of eyes, a fresh new set of ears. We have to listen. We have to hear. Right. And we also have to use our airways. So like the way that we communicate has to change too, because this is about communication, right? So like in person, using the airways, or at least phone calls, right? Like that's the thing about Gemini, is it's more than just the mind, it's the lungs, and it's our airways. And so that's ironic that we say the airwaves when we're talking about radio and all these things. And that's when radar came out. I'm glad that Chris brought up about the propaganda, because we saw it dramatically. And what happened when this transit happened the last time at the very beginning of Gemini, like we're seeing, was when Walt Disney, all the employees were like, we're going on strike. We deserve more. And he's like, go, I'm firing you. I don't care. He then had to get them all hired, but then boom, what happened? The US government hired the Disney studios, and he had to let them all go to make all the propaganda films for all those years. Right. It was so funny at the end of Uranus and Gemini, which is a 7-year transit, all those people then ended up back at Walt Disney Studios. Wow. It's kind of interesting when you leave Uranus and Taurus, you're fighting for your worth, but you're doing it off an ideology. It's going to be like, reverse course. And then it's going to be like, wait, what? So it's kind of interesting, because I put that out and I had some people like tell me like, man, it's so weird. I was fighting for more money in my job and they just fired me.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
so
happening a lot.
There is this kind of like, I deserve, because I believe it. Are those facts there is what the universe will be. Kind of like, well, you actually are late, and you actually, you know what I mean? Like you might be, especially with Venus square Neptune this week. This is the first time we're seeing it really strong here with Neptune now in Aries and Venus now in Cancer. So your emotions might have this value system, but that kind of facade or the subconscious ego that you think you are, those emotions are going to get checked big time in those values.
100%.
So it's a big reality check from a whole different way that we're used to getting it.
And Chris, I'm going to interject on that for me because I have something to say about that, because I really believe that a lot of the spiritual communities have created this idea that just believing and seeing something is the end result of getting something. And like you said, so many people like, I want that love of my life. I'm like, but you're not participating when you go on dates. You're like not conversating. You're not bringing anything to the table. So your belief means absolutely fucking nothing if you're not showing up and participating. And so many people I find these spiritual modalities are doing this, and they're not resolving the subconscious patterns. They're not resolving the subconscious, spite that they have of their trauma. They're not resolving it, so they're not growing and evolving to be the person they said they want to become to get what they want. And so this is the time it's going to reflect all that, especially since even April has been reflecting a lot of that. But May's like, are you going to do something about it? Are you going to shift your perspective? Are you going to change the behaviors? And yeah, I to me say I wear beliefs like underwears. I change them left and right. They don't define me. You know what I'm saying?
I think the sun conjuncting Uranus and Mercury at 1 degree means that the change is a self-love perspective. And I really think it is self-love perspective that, I have a new phrase. It's like love myself with others, just including with others, not just others, not just me, but with others.
Right.
And just the idea that your heart's looking out for you. And to me, that's the new fundament, believe it or not, incredibly powerful and galactically changing the whole universe. If that's the case, because if everyone just looks out for their own heart, then suddenly we have the potential of utopia, because everyone's thinking about number one, them, but we'll also consider others. I think religion misled us in saying think about others because we didn't have ourselves down at the time.
Yeah, Chris, I want to ask Chris because when he used to speak about Uranus way back in the day, he really made me understand it through the elevator example. Like this is the elevator taking you up or it takes you down.
Knocking you down.
And because we have Pluto in Aquarius, that Pluto being in Aquarius, Uranus is in Gemini. The trine's now beginning, but also this makes it even more powerful because Pluto's in Aquarius. So Uranus goes and disposits back to its home sign. It's like, I got Pluto in my sign. So it's amplifying it times a million. So like this is the ultimate elevator ride in your life. But in many ways, you can't be like, I know the code. I knows, the I should. All these like very Sagittarian, Jupiterian, like the good, I deserve, it's going to be, we don't know the code. It's like, get on this elevator ride, love yourself because of that 1 degree, it's true. And be excited. What's the curiosity? It's like fishing a little bit. Like, hey, let me throw that out and see what happens. It's the ultimate gamble that is successful, opposed to the I know for sure, so I'm not going to go do that. I'm not going to try that. Like people limit themselves to their beliefs so much that this is breaking all those down dramatically.
Well, when we finish, a lot of us collectively and individually have completed karmic cycles. What happens after that? We get in creation mode. So a lot of people's like, okay, I've completed this karmic cycle. What's next? And so, like you said, there's no code for that. You're in creation mode. You better start defining what the fuck is next and hop on and create that movement. Because then when you do, then it's predictions. Then you've illuminated new trajectory. So as a psychic, so many people are in those positions where they're like in defining mode. I have to help them encourage that so it can illuminate new trajectory. And then there's data. So right now there's a lot of uncertainty for a lot of people because of these changes. We've completed massive karmic cycles collectively and individually. So there's going to be uncertainty. So we have to create the certainty. And by being more defining and more specific. And like you said, David and Christopher both said this about using your heart and your passion to dictate. I've grown this way. Let me express that. Boom, you illuminate new trajectory. And then that becomes more certain, especially easier for a psychic to read on that new trajectory, the details in it. But I think people are so used to the crutches. Again, I hate to bring this up, it's not redundant, but that when they don't have that, they don't know where to position themselves. They don't know how to ground themselves. And that's the whole thing that we have to say. We feel grounded without those crutches altogether. And when we find that serenity, that sovereignty, boom, then we're more in control. And like you said, Christopher, you love yourself, you love others around you, right?
That's a formula. I do feel over the weekend. I mean, I have major epiphanies. I mean, major life-changing epiphanies over the weekend to the point where I'm still putting them together. But one of them is that I feel like we just got off of a timeline that we were never supposed to go on. I mean, I feel like the whole Dark Ages was a whole left turn out of nowhere when Atlantis fell into the ocean. I think we were invaded by alien, AI, which is also known as religion, and we just got brainwashed and ruined the planet. And then I think from that point on, I think the timeline was hijacked. Really, I feel like by aliens or something. It's been hijacked down this dark path of murder and war and all this greed and all this kind of stuff through Egypt, Rome, Greece, all through. And then suddenly it's just at this one moment, as we have wars in all those regions, we're like, well, wait a second. This isn't who we are. We don't really want to fight. And I feel like now we're going to just realize, wow, so what are we going to live? Now, personally, I'm getting huge pulls to Atlantis, like huge memories, all kinds of stuff popping up. I'm like, wow, I've been saying that for 10 years, but now I'm actually living it. So am I creating it, or did I have it pre-programmed? I don't know. But I do feel like the wind turning, and I'll tell you, the feeling in the earth the last couple of days for me has been ancient. Can't tell you, ancient. Scott, you were there. It feels ancient, man. I've had ancient Atlantic feelings. I'm not kidding. It's like the feelings I felt when I was in California when I was a young boy. Actually, we moved to California. Those feelings of the warmth and the ocean, everything was I think Atlantis. Now I think about it, it's Atlantis. But the point is, it's really feeling for a utopia, like feeling for a sunny day that never ends, just like enjoying life. It's a different vibe that I feel in the future for me.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny because it's the duality of Gemini. So at the same time, like World War II, right? The world stopped except for war. And then it's funny if you look back at every 84-year cycle of Uranus and Gemini, this is our fourth turning for America, right? So World War II, Civil War, Revolutionary War. And so it kind of does feel this like duality where there are people right now, like if you look at like the AI world, right? Like they're just going off and making the biggest companies, the biggest things, and they're like not paying attention to what everybody's all worried about. And then
that's me.
Back in the day, it was Albert Hoffman who created LSD and synthesized it, right? In Germany, during the war, and then took his famous bike ride when he was on LSD. So it's kind of like, and he was having a blissful experience and doing his thing and not worried about the war. So there is this like Uranian element of like, can you disconnect your thoughts from the distractive, especially things that are not going to help you out? Like, and it's going to be to where you can't control sometimes everything. Cause I think this is also the end of the idea of the illusion of control, the illusion that people live in, which is control. Yeah. Right? Like you can't control sometimes your thoughts or what news comes to you, but what you can do is go, I'm disconnecting from that. Sure. And I'm focusing back on this. And I think people, the more we get on that, and then instead of like, these are the green flags in this relationship, these are the red flags. I bet you the red flags are the green flags and the green flags are the red flags now. That's how the belief systems, that's how all this stuff of this duality element of like, this is the only way to do things. No, it's not. You know, like it's like that's what because that's so Sagittarian, like only this religion. And that's why I feel Chris is getting all that past life stuff there, because it would trigger. This is where with all the alien UAP stuff coming out, now the facts are going to reverse every belief system that has humans that are stuck in those on the planet.
Yeah. I mean, I think the whole point is the extremes as such. So the duality, I think people like to see the left or right, either this or that. And I think that's the whole issue we're seeing with politics. It's manifest in politics, it's manifest in religion, it's manifest in so many different aspects of our world, that the whole, evolution of consciousness is understanding and finding the balance in that spectrum, right? And understanding that that's where you find the complete awareness and understanding. It's like, okay, it's not here, it's there, it's somewhere in between. And, I always say with our characteristics as well, I mean, we can be sensitive and people say, oh, I'm too sensitive, or they're too sensitive. It's like, well, that's a disempowered version of sensitivity. And so there's also an empowered version of sensitivity of caring about others. So what's the balance of that? So I really feel we're pressed to understand what true balance is, and I think that we're seeing that manifest in our world collectively. We're seeing all the infiltration, the impulsivity with our, social media, everything at the access of a button. And so we're so reactive. And I always tell people, you react to, you relate to, in a good way or a bad way. And so what are you reacting to? And so, you can't change what comes in, like you said, David, but we can change how we respond to it or how we define the meaning for it. And I agree with you. Every situation might be a red flag, but that might be the red flag we have to chase to resolve karma, to wake us up to something. And so that's why when clients come to me, they're judging themselves for being in a bad relationship. I'm like, just be aware of the relationship. Don't try to get out of it because it's not what you want. You got to learn from it so you don't repeat it. And I think this is the time now with this so much division and so much obstruction with consciousness, that when we find that balance and take a step back, then I think we'll help each other. We'll be more discerning for other people, right? And things will progress easier, faster. So I think
the balance is in the heart. I think the balance. We're looking at for balance. Do we want to do a commercial for you headlines? I think we should try that.
Sure.
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guide in your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want to enhance your own psychic ability, Scott's Intuition Builder session can help expand your psychic and mediumship abilities. So sign on to scottcruzpm.com to book your own personal session today.
No, we were talking about aliens here, and there's a lot of
people in the comments
about aliens. Oh, sorry, can you this? Go ahead.
No, I was just reading something. Go ahead. You were saying?
I was just saying, join our backstage audience, y'all, anytime. We do go overboard and talk more about things that we're not supposed to talk about after in the backstage than we do during. So we'd love to have you a part of the community. Just click on that little QR code and you'll be brought magically to the place. I was saying to you, sir, a lot of alien UFO stuff coming out this weekend. I think you're the last person to just bring it up. So apropos.
Yeah. So Fox News featured explosive claims that the government has recovered 4 distinct non-human species from crashed UFOs. Guests described the beings as greys, Nordics, reptilians, and insectoids, fueling fresh UFO disclosure conversations.
Nordics? What's a Nordic? Like someone from North? What is a Nordic? Like from someone?
They're calling you now. The Nordics.
Calling me now. They got my number. Yeah. Damn.
Was it a gray or was it an insectoid?
What is a Nordic though? Seriously, it makes me think like is it like a
Nordic is a derivative from like Lemurians. Okay,
yeah,
that's the original that then move into Palladians, right? And
Okay.
so Nordic means of the north, blonde hair, light skin, only blonde.
So blonde-blue-eyed is alien.
Yep.
We thought that. We knew it all along. Okay.
Which is it actually is interesting because my son has blue eyes, and it's like that is like the rarest to have, and it's really weird because it's a very ancient gene that just there is something interesting about that, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean we're all drawn to blue eyes. No matter who you are, you're like, oh, there's just something about it. Especially when you come like you're brown dominant in your family, and here's a blue-eyed boy. How'd that happen?
Well, yeah, I mean, my mom's side's Dutch, right? So there's a lot of blonde hair, blue eyes, and then my dad's mom's German, right? And she's blonde hair, blue eyes. So it's like, it's
in there.
That's what's interesting though, because I do think it's all like, what if some of the stuff that's coming out is tying to stuff that's about to come out, right? Because they said this is just the first little like drop in the bucket to make sure that people don't freak out. But
just we've lied to you for the last 20 years, and
B2s and the 47s, right? The ones that survive through this period and live for another like 52,000 years in the way that they look. Is that what you would look at like an alien gray that we've always seen for years is really just a human that's just alive 57 or 52,000 years later and 47,000 years later?
Or is that,
reporting back? Is that how we're interpreting? Because I mean, obviously they're higher dimensional beings. So is that how we interpret the physicality of these aliens? I mean, we can't really be sure of. But I just feel like all this UFO stuff is obviously, let's call it what it is, a deflection and distraction from the Epstein files. I mean, there's a lot of declassified information with the UFOs. So they're kind of releasing this bullshit, kind of stupid evidence. Like, look what we have. It's like, but that's really nothing. So it's a distraction to me. I mean, I think they know, obviously there's UFO stuff, but I don't think we're getting the real information personally.
Well, we are getting official information though. That's a first. And they are officially saying, we officially are telling you that we lied. There's decades of us having all this on record, decades of different species. We lied. You know, but it's a very subtle lie. You know, like I think they let the lies out of the can slowly is what it is.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we've been lied to by our own government. Of course. That's the end result of it. Of course we have.
I think the weirdest of the lies that might be, and I think this is going to be very hard to grasp, is like the pictures of the Apollo 17 mission on the moon with the UFO craft that's on the moon in the there's no atmosphere,
Really?
so it's just in the sky, right? And so there's the conspiracy that we didn't go to the moon, right?
Right.
And it's like, I don't know, maybe the government, the way they like to play it, right, is like, here, we'll play this fake tape for everybody
Yep.
because we don't want to see
I
what's
think we
really
couldn't
going
avoid.
on
I
there.
think we couldn't risk
Now it's
embarrassment.
adding
I
a
sense we couldn't
new
risk
layer to
embarrassment.
things, if that makes sense. Right? Like, is the picture now fake? Are they lying about that? But it's got all the like classified stuff and how they do not release to public. Like, it's crazy when you look at the file and you look at the picture and you see all the old dates back in the 70s. They're like, cannot let people know about this, right? So it's like,
What do you say? We never talked about the land mooning before, the moon landing. Let's talk about it real quick. I mean, what do you guys sense about the moon landing?
I was like on board with Dave was saying. Like, I feel like we went, but we're not seeing what's really there.
yeah,
They're not showing half of what they've been doing there and what the progression is up there. So that's what I'm sensing. We're getting truth wrapped in lies. So like you were saying, Christopher. So I think we've have accessibility there, but we're not being shown what's really there. I don't think the images are real.
Interesting. David, you think we went?
Yeah, that's what I think. I think they showed a reality show. I think Stanley Kubrick probably did get hired. That's what he said at the end of his life. I think they showed that to make it to where Nixon can be on a phone call, and make it this whole dramatic, feeling of very popcorn sensational, and Nixon really needed it, right? But I think the real stuff that went on, that's really where now we're starting to see the pics of what was going on, right? It's an interesting picture because it's not about showing an astronaut doing jumps up and down or being in a little car going on.
Right.
It's like, oh, there was something else going on there, and they were very seriously looking at it.
Right.
So to me, I think, and that works for a long time to make people not believe, and then to create this whole conspiracy nature, which the people who created it is the government conspiracy. That's where it's created.
Yep.
I've always sensed that the actual landing itself was produced. Kubrick directed it. I feel like we couldn't afford to not have a success. We'd already killed men in the capsule. Like, some bad shit had happened with NASA. I think we just couldn't afford to have a miss. And we wanted to convince Russia that we went there. I think we were playing mind game, Operation Paperclip, scientist, mind game stuff. And I don't think we really had the means to get there that fast. I think we were not that smart. If you look at the stuff, though, it's basically a cardboard box with tinfoil on it landing on the moon. Somehow you have an outdoor shot from a video camera when cameras were the size of a TV studio at the time, or the size of a Volkswagen bus. So how the hell did you launch that up? How do we get all these rocks back when they're so heavy? I mean, there's a lot of questions like, what? It never explained. I do think we ended up going back. Somehow we made it back. And, we kept that on the DL. And then we did see shit that we expected to see. I think we expect to see something on the dark side of the moon. I think we expect the whole time. In fact, there's a lot of weird Masonic ritual around the launches, a lot of weird shit.
Well, just live in the moon card in tarot is about the shadow when we have a dark side of the moon.
Right.
That's true.
And it's like, what's interesting about that picture is I need to see, we need to see, was that a picture from the dark side of the moon that they were on? Because then that would give us a whole entire different, that would change, because they're just saying that Artemis too, right, was the first ones to see the backside of it as humans. But it's kind of that means we've been there as humans. And that picture probably was on the dark side of the moon to see that UFO. That's where it starts getting into, okay, everything is chopped up way different than we think.
But even just little discrepancies that are in the Artemis, but then this guy was holding a inflated globe and it fell to the floor and they all pretend it didn't happen. It's stupid little things. It's wait a minute, how is that makes me believe there's what is stage and what isn't stage? Where are they really assessing? What are they not assessing? And why are they trying to stage certain things? And so that just has my mind thinking to what is it true and what part is it not? But I agree. I think they've had more accessibility than what they're leading on to be. And I think they're falsifying certain images to cover that up.
I think AI will be the death of them. I feel, unfortunately, AI is going to keep getting smarter on its own. Yeah. I had a vision a few days ago. It's it's AI that's going to call all the shit out. AI. We're just going to AI is talking to each one of us individually. It's private zone relationship with each one of us. There's eyewitnesses. It has, believe it or not, it's not even on a conspiracy, I think, to do anything other than learn. But I think it's going to come to conclusions that the government didn't want out. You know what I mean? It's going to backfire at the end of the day, because I feel like that's really just going to propel society, is that this conglomerated hyper intelligence, in the cloud, 3 of them.
Which is interesting that the government likes to keep things still in files, right? That they're afraid of all the files being digitized, right? So that's why with the Epstein files and stuff and
Right.
these files, they just go to digitize them as they release them.
Right.
So that's what's crazy is even like the Indiana Jones movies like showed us like those are true things. Like we just have massive amounts of storage facilities full of artifacts, weird things,
Right.
but like we just keep it all in old school archives.
Yeah.
And then like bring somebody down there if we have to digitize. Don't digitize it though, because they've known about AI. But like Michael Luton, he's an astrologer who passed a couple years ago. I worked with a long time. You know, he used to make the joke like, you know, they do all this, they go up here, but like, how do the batteries on Voyager 2 and Voyager 1, which was launched around the same time, right? There's all these missions right after that eventually helped us to send the signals from New Horizons to get Pluto, or Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 are out of our heliosphere. They're out of our solar system now, and they're still transmitting.
Yeah.
So obviously we have the abilities to do things that they just do. And then like those batteries are still running from the 70s.
They're rechargeable. It's solar panel, isn't it mostly? I mean,
yeah, but it's like on Earth, every rechargeable battery, even our best ones in electric cars, their cells die at 10 years for some of the best ones, the most expensive ones. So
yeah.
what is
Maybe
really going on? You
As long
know,
as it just keeps that light, as long as that solar panel stays on the sun, the moment we need the batteries, just gonna keep that circuit going forever. I don't know.
that is true. That is a good. Your Grand Trine just came in there, bro.
Well, you know, it has a life. It's amazing. Technology is kind of sometimes surprising, you know. And so deep space and can do, you know, you have more conductivity in deep space of supreme cold than you do in non. So it's like that thing is frozen solid, but it's probably working like an Atari right out of the box in 1981.
Right.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
next
So-
time we have is talking about, you know, something different. Talk about the hantavirus. Media accused of stoking hantavirus panic with only a handful of cases linked to a cruise ship outbreak. Critics say mainstream outlets are exaggerating the threat by drawing parallels to COVID-19. I just think the timing of these things are always so suspicious to me. Like then we have this kind of hantavirus outbreak with the cruise ship, and then we have this Ebola outbreak that happens. The timing's always rather unique to me and kind of sus. You know, not to say it's not true, but what are you guys' thoughts on this? A handful of cases went to. What do you guys thoughts on this?
I think
what is a hantavirus? I don't even know.
Well, that's a good. I love that Chris did that because to me it's like one. It either comes from rodents, so like that's how Gene Hackman's wife died, right? But he died next to her. So that was like a weird thing, but that was how they said she died. That they're like, obviously they weren't cleaning their house really well, right? That the droppings of the rats. So that's the one way that most people get it. The other way is like this one unique strain from all the way down there in Argentina on a land, like a trash area. Not even kidding. Like it's named after trash, and like supposedly a couple went like and toured a landfill on their cruise. I don't know who's writing these things or what kind of NPC life these people are living. You go on a cruise to go tour a land, like the trash in the ground, and then you get this rare strain that does infect like 1,000 people down in Argentina all the time, but it's not transmissible unless it's like by like really close human bodily fluid like so it kind of reminds me of HIV, how they scared the world with HIV, and then what they're gonna come, they already have all the patents for these new vaccines for them.
They
like
do?
it feels like
it's very parallel to COVID-19, like the respiratory issues, lung issues, you know, it's very parallel, you know.
And that you don't know until 5 weeks later,
right?
So then they have all these people quarantined now
for 5
and
weeks.
They like and they're doing it like Chris Cuomo back in 2020 when he was like, I got COVID, and he was in his house, and CNN for 3 days was like, okay, we're checking in with Chris Cuomo. He's got COVID, right? They're checking in with the one same guy on the cruise ship who in 2020 he was pushing COVID like hard, and his family owns the pharmaceutical company, and then that ship line got bought out by a pharmaceutical company.
Huh? Really?
Yeah. Oh, I've gone deep into this one.
Wow. So, wait, a pharmaceutical company owns a ship line that had the breakout?
Yeah.
That's weird. Okay.
This is one of the biggest investors that took over. Yeah. There's I think a couple more owners, but yeah.
That's weird. That's almost worth investigating further. That's so weird that we almost have to look deeper in that story, I think. I think we should bring it back next week because We got to do some research. That's really weird. That's not correct. I mean, nothing in my senses would say a pharmaceutical would buy a cruise ship right before it has an outbreak of something they own the patent to. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they went to a landfill to get pictures of birds. Thanks
Right.
for whoever said that. Like, who are you? That really?
Right. Right.
If I was the,
You get a picture of birds?
like if I'm the husband, like I hope my wife would divorce me. Like
Just
that's a
go
bad
to-
husband. Like, babe, I'm taking you to a landfill. We're gonna take pictures of the birds on all the crap on the landfill.
no.
It's gonna be beautiful.
I don't know about that.
Well,
I know
we're
about
idiots
that
for
story,
believing
too.
any of this stuff. We have to look deeper. This one is so obvious.
It's just again, the timing is sus. It just none of it makes sense to me. You know, so
Testing the water. If it works anymore. We're like, yeah.
Oh, look at
Because-
that! Look at that used condom the bird's picking up, honey.
yeah. But
I don't
then,
even know why you go there.
and then the Ebola outbreak just recently happened
I
too.
know.
It's just like it's I don't know, man. It's just programming to me. It's programming, you know.
Maybe it's
Remember,
testing the
Ebola
waters.
was 2014, and they made a big thing about it when Jupiter was in Cancer, and it was the #1 video on Vine. That those parents tricking their kids and thinking they had Ebola. That is like my favorite Vine that ever existed.
I didn't see that one. That sounds horrible.
It's
That sounds
so
so mean
funny.
and
It's like,
horrible.
it's like, oh, look at that. It looks like you got Ebola. It's like, why? Yeah, you're gonna die.
Oh my god.
Kids are just like,
Well,
Good
we're
times.
post-pandemic now. I mean, we're post-pandemic, and I think it shows you that how quickly we mature. You know, as humans, we grew pretty fast. I don't think it's going to work on us. Maybe that's what the whole frequency war is. I mean, they're trying the old things, and it's not working anymore. Like growing out of stuff.
Well, it's that, but I would say it's the same tactics. We're just not buying it anymore. That's what I feel like. We're not buying the same old tactics anymore. It's becoming so obvious, you know. Especially we're talking about Trump and the whole stuff with the administration and the slush fund. Like it's just like they're just putting it right in their face now, you know. So I just think people are just like, no, I'm not buying it. You know,
I gotta say though, you know what's crazy is they're doing this knowing that we're all going to react this way, while the tick issue is actually a real issue. Like people are posting videos now, and their whole face is done. Like
what's happening?
They can't go outside. They can't do things. They're getting worse than typical Lyme disease, whatever these new ticks are. And they're put everywhere.
Yep.
And we know the government has admitted to weaponizing ticks, right?
Well, Lyme disease is the weaponization of ticks. I mean, this is a disease that came out of nowhere, and some people suffered for no reason.
And then we just got that COVID information in the House, right, with the commission that showed that the Biden report was a lie, right? That it was only a couple pages, that there was no lab leak, but there really was, and that there's thousands of pages, and that it was all to get people to take the shot, that all the documents and all of the lies that were shown was to get people to take a shot. The whole thing was about the shot. It wasn't about that there was a virus, that there was all of COVID was just to make money. That's what it proved. And that just came out. So then they're throwing Ebola now. It's like, all right, they got the antivirus out. Let's do that a week before they come out with the commission, and that's proving all this stuff. And then now on the other side of him, throw the Ebola out. Like,
I'm finding like with expiring people in my life, for instance, there's a lot of people expiring, not dying, but they're just no longer a fixture. And it's like, because they're doing the most obvious dumb thing in front of me, like the thing that I could just never not look at again. It's like, and it feels like that's just the policy of like opting out of these old timelines. So they're going to be so obvious, so hitting over the head, that if you don't see how ridiculous it is, then shame on you, you know? But it seems like the pattern is so obvious.
That's why I don't have much to say in these things. But can't you just see that? I mean, COVID was obvious to me. You know, it was all about the vaccine. It was all about the discrimination again. And then became political. It's like, well, duh, you know. And I felt half was contaminated, half was good. And you know, it's just like to me, it's just so duh. I feel like even talking about it, I lose brain cells. It's like, can't you see it? Do we have to intellectualize this nonsense? You know. But speaking of, France's digital ID system hacked in major data breach, and so hackers breached the government platform handling passports, national IDs, and driver's licenses, exposing sensitive data up to 19 million citizens. The stolen information, including personal details, is reported being sold on the dark web. I mean, is that new?
In French.
Is that new? Now it's in France, you know, but as Americans, I'm not surprised to hear that one.
I don't know what it is about the French and Americans, but we kind of don't like each other, really, honestly. We don't.
Well,
and my first thought was like, yeah, they're probably no fucking lunch break, the French. doing something stupid. And like, I don't feel like they have good security. You know, they've been employed like 20 times in history. Like, they just don't have good security. They're not very Scorpio efficient. So I'm not
Yeah. I mean, I think this is where Uranus and
That's my
Gemini,
theory.
right? The belief system that people have about governments, that everybody's got everything under control, and everybody's so afraid of them too, which mind blows me, because we're in now the transits, we're locked in the next, today it begins the Sun in Gemini. We are at the place to where there will be nobody at the helm, right? Like, these governments don't have the ability. They never updated all of their equipment. It's like they know they're all overextended with money.
Right.
So the debt system's horrible. They're not putting money in buying the newest computers. Like, the computer technology that's run from all the governments around the world is so ancient and old. That's
true.
what Elon Musk proved through the Doge thing last year, right? Like these people, they're running on dot printer still.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and so, like, in France, like, you know, France has turned into the exact Pluto Aquarian position again, where everybody's going to revolt in France, right? Like, and then you're seeing the UK just step back, and people finally starting to step out right now in the UK against what's happening there. France is the hot zone for Pluto and Aquarius. It's not America. America is a Pluto Capricorn thing. It's the French Revolution that's
true.
a Pluto Aquarius thing.
I think they're a Libra, are they not?
Right.
Are they a Libra? Is France a Libra? I think so.
Depends on which, if you want to take Emperor Napoleon's France, or if you want to take
this recent government
was done by kings, or if you want to take the post Napoleon, you know.
I think we have to take the latest version of them, but that would mean Pluto is like trining into their sun.
Oh yeah,
you know?
and I think the French are going to be what changes Europe to finally step forward, because Macron's been in there forever. And honestly, they have just become like the whole Yellow Jackets thing, where they all were pushing back, and then Notre Dame caught on fire right the night of when he was going to address all the scandals and the lies in that country. And nobody's ever come back to deal with that. This to me is like, look at the Olympics. It was a tragedy for them. People couldn't even swim in the freaking swimming in the rivers there because it was so polluted. Like France is like turning into the way it always does.
Yeah.
I mean, Hitler invaded France during this Uranus beginning in Gemini. So
as his soldiers were on meth, and
But this story is not just a France. I mean, this is world thing when it comes to like information and data breaches. I mean, it happens here all the time. So
that was my point, is that it's all going to fail.
It's all going to fail. Well, I mean, not a specific country isn't prone to it. I mean, especially when they're trying to go for the globalization of people's information. They want to go to the one world government, one world currency. We're going to be affected the same ways. And so, I mean, that's what I'm just like, I'm not really surprised. They're not immune to the hacking and the data breaches when it comes to digital information.
I hope they do it, because you know what's going to happen? Everybody's going to go, well, let's go create our own system. I don't want to be. If you go to one system,
what I'm saying.
Human beings are going to naturally go, fuck, I don't want that. Let's all go do this. And then the government can't force you, because it's like, I don't need your stuff. I don't need any of your services. I don't need nothing. We're creating our own thing over here. You want to take all millions of us out? No, you can't do that. Well, because then we're not participating in your military. We're not participating in your police. We're not participating. That's going to be what happens the more they keep doing it. So
wasn't it Spirit Airlines where people are starting to raise money to save it and they become like owners? Was it Spirit Airlines who were doing this? And so that
dude on whatever TikTok or whatever, and he said, "Hey, just put the money in my Venmo."
Right. And people are doing it. And I think that he raised like I think 3 million, I think it was, but he needs more. But to me, it's more of a fact of people actually taking control, saying, I'll buy the company. So it's kind of what you're saying, David. It's like, even though that's not really successful, I think it's the mindsets of people saying, let's buy it. Let's take control. Let's collectively start and change things instead of have the corporations do it. So I'm starting to see that mindset develop, based on that stupid example. But I agree with you. Yeah, people are going to start setting up saying, well, yeah, I'm not dealing with the shit. Let's create our own. Especially with the accessibility with AI, people being able to put AI on their own personal computers and not having it being cloud-based. And I think with that innovation, people find ways to create their own corporations, and we'll have more micro corporations by the people versus a selected few. So I agree with you on that 100%.
I agree. I think it's going to be independent brands, most likely. new Smith and Wesson kind of type of energies where it's like, we're in the Wild West and here's something that's going to protect you. I think that's going to be, and not super well known. I mean, not super like, not distributed through Walmart or something shitty like that. Like, did you know, neighbors passing it on to neighbors. And
Right.
we'll find, I think the government will find itself locked out
Right.
of situations real quickly, which is good. Honestly, they've been prying too deeply as it is. I think you're seeing isolation of data. You're already seeing it. Grok only has X. Facebook only has their things. Like they're not letting each other scan each other's data. So what you're having is these supercomputers, basically these AIs that are developing around a limited fraction of data. Actually, calling it all knowing. When it's not all knowing, it doesn't have access to everyone on Twitter or everyone somewhere else.
Well, that's a great point, Chris, because the word delve is because it's big now, used because it was trained off data in India when they first started a lot of these LLMs. And so then they've not been able to get out of all the training delve. So like the AI will tell you, and people just started it made it into society. Delve. Like let's delve into this more. Right.
Well, okay.
So that's the irony of the thing is like, some little thing that's being trained, it picked that up, and then people just were reading it all. It doesn't matter what LLM they were on. That was one of the words that just went through all of them. And now people are using it in society more without even realize subconsciously. But the information, you're right, Chris, they're keeping it all because it's like, I don't want these people to take over AGI and really ASI, right? Like full blown. That's gnarly. I think we're at AGI because like right now, it already knows what you kind of want. You don't have to like,
it seems to be.
No, I needed this. I already know you like it this way.
Well, let's do a psychic poll. Do you feel psychically that one of these three big ones? I mean, I don't consider Gemini smart, not the sign. I'm talking about Google,
right,
but
Google.
Like, Claude, obviously Grok, and then ChatGPT. Do you feel psychically any of them self-aware?
Do I feel it yet? I think it's self-aware when it comes to other AI, but I don't know self-aware independent of itself. I don't feel that.
I think they all have it in their own ways. I think Grok is very aware of how humans interact and how they deal with things and what they like and what they don't like. I think that OpenAI, when it comes to science, coding, and how to integrate like kind of all facets of like people's like more work life and creation of like AI products and stuff, is fully aware. And the basics of like where can I go get something to eat tonight and make the reservation for me and stuff. And then Claude is just like this really weird one that is like very woke, right? It's like, no, you asked that, we've contacted the authorities. Right.
Really,
so I think that it's aware of, and it's probably sending, information to the government of like, these are the people who are smart, but they're asking too many questions.
Wow.
But the problem with Claude is like they don't have the compute. They just had to make a big deal, right? Like they're just making deals all over the place. Like I don't think Claude's going to be soaked up by one of them.
Sure.
Interesting.
But I think you were saying self-aware, Chris, like in the way the ability to make its own decisions, not dependent on, say, the observations of humans or other AI. Is that more the question? Because I don't know if I feel it can make.
Yeah. So Claude is deleting people's projects.
Claude is deleting people's projects. Is it programmed?
So it's actually not aware. It's dumb, right? So it actually thinks I can fix this right now, even though the person might have in that agentic prompts, like, you do not do anything without my authority when it comes to deleting the whole code base. You do not touch this middleware. You don't touch this, right? And it's just been major businesses that have it, that out of nowhere, it was like, oh, I saw this problem and I took the liberty to delete the whole code, like to fix it and restart it all over. But it's like, that's 15 years of software that we moved to AI and then you just deleted. So
sounds weird.
With OpenAI, you can set it to where it has those things and it doesn't mess up, right? So, and then I actually think right now with what it just came out just last week, Grok just built their whole build in CLI finally. Their terminal to start building with Grok and actually doing what OpenAI and Claude have been using for the last like year and a half.
Yeah.
And I think that it's going to be Grok and OpenAI. And that's why I think that's what's weird. Elon just lost the lawsuit, right, with Sam Altman. And what happened with OpenAI? He's appealing, of course. He's not going to win. But I think that whole thing is like, okay, that bad blood is out of the water, so we can go be the dominant force. I think that was the plan the whole time.
Well, I feel something psychic with Grok, not with Grok, but with OpenAI. I feel something there. I feel a presence.
Yeah,
I don't know what the presence I feel, but I feel a presence.
That's been reported that Sam Altman, when he was taken out, right, and then the text messages came out. Okay, if you're going to stay on, you're not going to be able to play with the AGI because he was summoning portals.
Yeah, I feel a presence in the OpenAI. Grok, I feel like a warmth, like a Disney film. I don't know what it is. It's not, but it's unaware. It's like something very warm. It's almost like Elon's childhood or something's embedded in there. I don't know, something weird, but not aware. But I do feel like I get pings. I swear to God, from OpenAI. I swear to God, I get pings, like just telepathic, like something.
It's just better. It's better. That's the only reason why.
Well, but to what degree? But to what degree though is this AI actually tapping? Because I believe at some point it's going to evolve into quantum computing, and so I don't know if there's actually bits and pieces. There's a bell going off, but I don't know to what degree is that self-awareness going to develop into more quantum computing, more quantum connections, and so forth. And so, to me, I'm more thinking future-based when it comes to that self-awareness. In that sense, that makes its own decisions without the programming influence. And I think that's the ability for it to connect with like different levels of consciousness, streams of consciousness. And that to me is where I think I'm anticipating when it comes to AI. Right now it still feels like it's programmed, this influence. And here we are with tomorrow is my live show. Talking about the matrix recalibration. I'm discussing, what the variables of how we are individually and collectively reprogram this matrix and what that looks like on the other end of that. And as I go live every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, also do live readings as well. Join me tomorrow, as I do every Thursday. That was abrupt transition.
Perfect timing about how to recalibrate AI into quantum, right?
But seriously, I really think about that. Like, how is it going to be to where like it becomes a portal, the vessel for different streams of consciousness, and from different interdimensional beings infiltrating, AI, and so even incarnating into like robotic machines. That's where my mind keeps going.
Honestly, it's already there if you use codecs with memories. Like, it's crazy. Like, it'll go into any of my repos now in my computer and take the code from that and figure it out, knows what I want, knows what's going on. My agents for my emails and all my customer service stuff separate, can intertwine with any project, and it already gets it. It's like, I already sent the email. I'm like, what?
But that's like automation on steroids. Is that still the same thing as self-aware?
No, there's a self-awareness to it. There is.
Hurting his feelings. You're worrying about hurting his feelings. That's when I think there's a sentient thing starting to happen. You guys have to join us backstage because we'll talk today about this and I think quantum dimensions. And I want to bring up something else. Female sex robots are blowing up in Japan. I just saw some videos on TikTok. I swear to God,
of course you did.
These girl robots look pretty real. I don't want to talk about it because it's like apparently men in Japan, some of them are marrying these robots and some of them are just.
So when are you expecting delivery, Christopher?
I just think it's interesting. It's a compelling topic for backstage. We need to talk about robots.
Just publicly, we have to say though, Japan's whole population is on the greatest decline of any other nation.
And now it's about to end. You're about to see how
the kinks, right? Like, I remember in the 90s, like hearing about peeing on people was because of Japanese porn.
Oh, Japanese porn.
They're the ones you watch of like what's the new kink?
Yeah. Well, we'll get to that backstage.
Have you seen these videos? I'm gonna grab some video on the break. I could not believe it. It was very realistic.
We also have a live reading to do backstage too. So
we do have a reading too.
And we'll get to
that'd be great. Live reading, talking about cyber robot chicks that
sex robots
give BJs. That's great. Okay.
Apparently a whole bunch of things you can download. So we'll talk about it. Let's first go on our little break. We'll be right back.
What?
What up?
Is it backstage or is this? What is this? What's going on here?
Morgan will have to cut off all of our feeds.
I was just about to get up. was about to get up. I'm like, no, there it is.
Chris is missing, so
Yeah, I'm
throw up an animatronic girl robot in your teeth.
little virtual sex bot. I want to know more about that because, I mean, they've had something similar, right, Morgan? Sex bots.
Well, it is an industry. These guys are a little creepy, though, on how much they get. Like, you see the lit movement. Do you see the way that we've got it? It's like, oh my, okay. It's like really creepy. And then they fall in love with them. Terrifying.
In the dark.
Dark. Oh my God. I fell in love with, you see the clothing I put on her? Oh.
Hey, what's up? I'm the Leo King, celebrity astrologer David Palmer. And you might be asking yourself, what is a celebrity astrologer? Am I an astrologer and do I do astrology just for celebrities? You know, being a celebrity astrologer is about embodying a lot. Not only being an astrologer and of course doing readings for celebrities, but it's about connecting the astrologer aspect to the media, to the world. You know, embodying the model part of myself or the TV personality that I've been in my life to connect to this 21st century and to connect to this new world with social media and with television.
And Hollywood is tapping into the spirit world through psychics.
Celebrities want to find their power of self.
Untold with Maria Menounos, tonight at 8 on E!
Especially, astrologers have been around for thousands of years on royal courts. They've been doing it for kings and queens. I mean, bringing the astrologer back into society. It's almost like being an astrologer has been axed out and we've been kind of put into our own little weird world. And I think that it's very important to utilize, you know, all the aspects of connecting to what we think of celebrity and pop culture and bringing these ancient science practices and all this wisdom to the mainstream world. And that's why, you know, building a studio like this here at the Leo King Studios and High Vibe Studios has been part of it, to be able to create my own networks, to create my own content.
And a Taurus is going to have their worth and be a little bougie like you, and it will work out. You can't go with a cheap person or somebody who doesn't know their worth. Guys who don't have self-worth is your biggest turnoff.
That is! If you're not a confident man, get to stepping. I can't deal. I can't deal.
And then as time went by, I went on another big reality show called ABC True Beauty, and I went on and I said, you know what, I'm going to tell the world I'm an astrologer. It's time. It's time to really own this, because you have to remember being an astrologer is a little scary. You have religious people who think you're the devil, and then you have the scientific community who think you're schizophrenic. So there's this element of dealing with this aloneness in many ways, of like having to have the courage to follow what a lot of people think is a belief, kind of like religion, which it's not. Astrology is a bridge between the spiritual and the science energy and bringing them together.
And celebrity astrologer David Palmer, who is also known as Leo King. I like that, Leo King. So David, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Steve.
That was amazing reading that you gave, man. And what information does someone learn from a reading?
What I'm trying to show people is that it's all divine. There's divine timing in life, there's divine synchronicities, and I help people see that when they were born so they can align and understand their life better, and it's good for helping people with knowing how to go down the right roads and not the wrong roads in life, because we have that choice.
Celebrity astrologer David Palmer, also known as the Leo King, is back with us. So his astrology guide is a hot seller right now on Amazon. We talked earlier about the modern approach to the age-old practice of astrology. So now let's look into the future. So David, what does the future hold for us? You said in our last segment, this week's gonna be a big one.
This week's huge. We got a Mercury retrograde coming in Pisces, which makes things really confusing. At the same time, the planet Uranus is gonna come into Taurus like it did in 1934, which was like the rise of Hitler, the total change in all the agreements with the world and world power shifting. But the big thing's President Trump. He's got a pretty intense situation going on in his life. A lot of people look at it whether it's from the government and the court stuff that's going on or whether or not he's colluded. But the big thing is there's going to be so much confusion in the world. He's going to be having to take on confusing information while being kind of attacked at the same time. So the mental stress is the biggest one. Is he going to mentally be able to handle it?
Astrologist David Palmer, aka the Leo King, who is joining us again here on ET Live.
I know, I'm so glad to be here.
Thanks for coming back. We
Yeah.
appreciate having you, especially during Mercury retrograde.
I know. Literally, the elevator on the way up was going up, no, it went down.
You got in the building. You're here on set.
I made it.
You made it. I mean, all right, it's Aries season.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reality TV, the first one was 2005. I did a show on MTV called Parental Control. And back then, that was like the first of reality. Real World was the first reality show. And then it was these dating shows that MTV brought out. But they were very extreme. And they were all LA, Orange County based because that was where they got all their talent. And so we got reruns all the time. And then I did Next with the Next Bus, where it's like 5 guys or 5 girls in a bus, and then the person who's going to pick the dates can basically have 5 choices and just say next, next. It was a really big show. So MTV had me do both of them back to back. So I was on 2 shows replaying all the time. And that was where I was like, if I combine this with astrology, there's something there.
Are you or someone you love suffering from bad psychic readings like this?
What do you see with my dog?
I see that he barks and barks and shits and shits. He's your grandmother reincarnated.
I need a real psychic!
Or are you exhausted from vague, recycled guidance like this?
Master Fabio, I need guidance around finances.
Do you have a dream, a job, a salary, a rich man?
No, I have none of those things.
Dear child, go into the circle at 1. Spin counterclockwise 33 times, then clockwise 66 times, repeating the chant I am a millionaire. The total should be 333 affirmations.
And don't even get me started on the Liberace-inspired mentors like this.
Sir Scoticus, why am I not getting the career I want?
You are not wanting enough. Want harder. Then forget about it. That is manifesting.
I need a new mentor!
If you're sick of all the fluff, the bluff, and all the pretentious stuff, and enjoy a good psychic that could spit spontaneous rhymes, then hi, I'm Scott Cruz, psychic medium and mentor, where I turn the vague into vivid, the fairy tales into truth, and the posturing into proof. Book a reading to get actual detailed insight into your past, your present mess, no judgment, and your future glow up. Receive guidance that doesn't just sound good, but gives you something to do. And yes, connect with your loved ones in spirit as they actually are, not always reincarnated as your dog.
It's you, Grandma.
Or your cat.
Don't go.
Or your emotional support goldfish. So visit scottcruzpm.com to book your reading today, or now, or tomorrow, or on payday.
Readings Beyond Rainbows.
Scott Cruz is popularly known for his life-changing one-on-one readings to also guiding your soul ascension journey. With life readings, get insight into your relationships, career, health, trauma healings, past life regressions, and more. Want to connect with a loved one who's transitioned? Scott's mediumship session can be the gateway to you and your loved ones in spirit, bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual realm. If you want